You already know what time it is. Welcome back into the NFL with AJL. And we are back with the Double A episode 2. We promised you guys we were going to be coming at you with the weekly college football content. And we're here on a Tuesday night, little after 7 p.m. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're right here tapped in with us on the show. Please make sure to like and share that stream wherever you're watching. Subscribe on YouTube, especially. You guys are pushing us towards the next part of the membership. For getting paid from YouTube, you can give a super chat, super thanks, super like, super whatever to donate directly to the show. Also, hit us up if you want to do a channel membership as well. We're on Facebook, we are on Twitch, and again, we are on YouTube. So make sure you like and share wherever you're watching. Of course, that QR code that we always show you guys in the corner of the screen will give you every bit of social media and podcast content. I do plan on getting a logo done for the Double A guys. Again, I'm Adam. This is Alan bringing y'all weekly college football content. It's going to be a sister podcast again underneath the NFL with AJL, but we'll get a logo. We'll get some specific branding, but nonetheless, we're still passionate. We're still on top of the topics for you guys to be able to jump in. And we've got a loaded show. But Alan, before we get into it, man, how's your Tuesday been, bro? How are you feeling as we have week 0 under our belt and week 1 is an absolute banger and we get to celebrate it being there on Saturday, dog?
It's going pretty good today. I'm glad week 0 is out the door and with the new
Right.
week 1, here we come. Time to start with a clean slate.
Yeah, 100%, man. And we have some absolute bangers as week 1 approaches us. But
Oh,
as we
yeah.
see with Georgia Tech upsetting Florida State, we're going to have a little more talk about that. And then we're going to preview some of the best week 1 matchups as well, which does include the likes of USC at LSU and much more. You've seen the thumbnail, you've seen the title. So let's not waste any more time. Jumping right in, Alan, should your all-time favorite college football team, the Florida State Seminoles, be panicking after the Georgia Tech loss in week 0?
While it did stifle us, I don't think we should be panicking just yet. First game, man, you're liable to have blunders, make mistakes, and like Saban used to say, I'd rather play a great team first. And even if we did get beat, we know what team we need to be moving forward.
Yep.
With that being said, every bit of the mistakes I saw seemed very fixable. And also,
Agreed.
Coach Norvell seems very optimistic about it. And also, we were down an offensive coordinator, so that could, play into it just a little
Yeah.
bit. Not making any
I think a
excuses.
lot
I
of
mean, we
people
just straight
forget
up
that.
lost. But
Yeah.
the media is overblowing the hell out of this thing, and I'm just ready to get that one swept
Agreed.
back under the rug. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I get it. All the fuss we made last year, but let's focus on week 1.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I've always thought it's funny that, week 0 was a thing in not the NFL, but in college football, because it's, not really a
Yeah.
precursor like we see in other spots, because it's not preseason. It's just a small slew of games. It's like, when the NFL does a Hall of Fame game, but nonetheless, we got one of the best, week 0 matchups that we've seen in a while.
Oh,
And of course,
yeah.
as
It was a good
Florida
one.
State does fall, it does start to throw some question marks into the ACC and obviously into this 12-team playoff. But in terms of Florida State panicking after the Georgia Tech loss, I'm not going to say that. A lot of people, again, forget, Alan, that y'all had an offensive coordinator that was out for a recruiting violation. People forget that this is DJU's 3rd team in 3 years, albeit some people don't see him as the answer or he ever was the guy. I think he could be a solid player like he has been and be even better under Mike Norvell. You have some transfers coming in like Rodell Williams. You lose a running back and a wide receiver to the draft. You have 17 transfers. You have DJU still trying to understand that offense. And again, without a coordinator, it almost makes you wonder, will we see a completely different DJU possibly in the game against Boston College that FSU has coming up? But it's a long season, bro. Like you said, it's week 0, and there's a lot of ground to make up. They've got more of a chance losing to a good team or even any team earlier in the year, because it's better to claw your way back from being down early on than to be in week 9, week 10, week 11 and jeopardize what was a top 4 spot. Now it's going to be a top 12. But
Right.
I'm with you, man. I don't think that Florida State should be panicking because they have a lot that they can still build on. And let's not forget that DJU in the 4th quarter, back-to-back 4th down conversions to get it into the end zone and tie it in the ACC matchup on international television and college football as it was. So again, I think Florida State fans have a lot to look up to, and it's a heck of a schedule that they're going to play through as well. Plenty of fixable things. Speaking of that schedule, I wanted to go through it with you. Let's predict Florida State's record for the rest of the season and, kind of lightly debate if they'll make the playoffs. So I'll go through the schedule here for you, bro, and then we'll go ahead and rattle it down. And I guess I'll just kind of pick right after you on it. So obviously they drop week 0 to Georgia Tech. They're 0-1 They got a 3 straight game homestand, starting with Boston College visiting them on Monday, September 2nd at 7:30.
I got us winning Boston College. They were a tough opponent for us last year. They took us pretty close
Yeah.
last year. They were, but I think we actually played them at their stadium, and that's quite a bit to travel from Tallahassee all the way up to Boston. But they also have a new quarterback at the helm. They have Trayshawn Ward, which is
Right.
one of our former Seminoles. He never got to play for us, but he got his start at Boston,
Mm-hmm.
and props to him, respect. I hope he goes out there and has a game. I just hope he drops it to us,
Yeah.
obviously. But I think we manage a win here in week 1.
Yeah, same here. I've got Florida State winning this game. Y'all are going to be 1-1
And at the
walking out
Doak,
of this one.
sold out student section. Are you kidding? It's
Yeah,
gonna be
of
loud.
course. Yeah, no doubt about it. I've got them 1-1 exiting week 1. Walking into week 2, they're still going to be at the Doak. Now they are hosting Memphis on September 14th at noon. W or L for you?
W. Mike Norvell's old team. It's going to be good to see that. And I'm sure he'll be happy to see all the people that are still there from his previous staff, if there are some.
Right.
But I just don't see the Memphis Tigers making a statement against us. Not at the
Mm-mm.
Dope, not even
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah.
They're not the team that they were, say, 5 years ago, 4 years ago when
Right.
he left.
Right.
The bowl contending AAC. I think they won their conference championship, if I'm not mistaken, that year as well. But they're not that team anymore. I still say an L for Memphis on
Definitely.
that one.
Definitely an L from Memphis. Florida State will be 2-1 walking out of this one. Again, they're going to be on a 3-game homestead. They're pissed after the Georgia Tech loss, but they have a lot
Oh
to learn,
yeah.
and they're going to right plenty of their wrongs against BC, plenty of their wrongs against Memphis, and now they host the final road home stretch before they go on the road, hosting Cal on September 21st. Time to be determined.
So, with it being at Bilt Campbell, that gives us a little bit of a buffer there.
Right. Right.
Auburn actually played them at Cal last year,
Mm-hmm.
and they struggled a little bit. They won, but they had to travel all the way from Alabama to California, and
Right.
that plays a toll on a team. But they're gonna have to play us over here, so that's you're
Right.
talking 3,000 miles across the United States over here. And
Yep.
if it's a night game, oh, it's gonna be real tough for them, I think.
Yeah.
I still think we pull out a W, but I think it's closer than
Same.
people think.
Yeah. I've got Florida State 3-1 walking out of this one. Now they go on the road technically for their first time, according to what we would say standards are. A week later, September 28th, they are traveling to SMU. I think this will be an easy dub. They walk out of this one 4-1. But how about you?
Southern Methodist is trying to make a comeback. The
They
fact that
are.
we
I
the fact that
respect
we
it.
got to go to Dallas and play them, and now they're an ACC opponent as well, it makes it mean that much more. But I still think we take the W because I don't think they've found their identity quite just yet. Um,
Right.
and like I said, that Georgia Tech game, like Norvell said, didn't define us as a team. That's not our identity. We just didn't play our best football
Nah.
that game.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Like I said, win for me here, leaving SMU. Now they walk into maybe their biggest game of the season yet since the Georgia Tech matchup. It's going to be technically week 5, hosting Clemson, who is right now the number 14 team in the state. My Bulldogs will open up against them in Atlanta this Saturday. And again, Florida State will host them. I've got this one as a close one, but I want to see what you think first.
It's going to be very close. It was very close last year. Last year, excuse me, came down to the wire.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we could drop it, but I'm gonna go with my gut here and take the Knowles again. I don't know what Clemson is going to present us this year. I don't know how Cade Klubnik's going to play this season. We're going to see
Right.
that on Saturday when they play the Dogs.
Yep.
That's a good test to really see what they're about. And but I still think it's a very close game, like a 34-31 type of game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a banger for sure. We got another ACC matchup. Again, Florida State will be returning home. At this point, they'll have only had one road game. But, of course, they have technically going on the road, obviously, across the country to play against Georgia Tech. But, yeah, so they'll be back at home with this one. And with Clemson, man, with this ACC matchup, It's a tough one to pick because you don't know what to expect out of Clemson.
Very.
You don't know what to expect out of Cade Klubnik, but it is Dabo Swinney. It is a tough Clemson team that's going to be on
Yep.
the road. And when you look at it being probably the toughest matchup of the season yet outside of that Georgia Tech one, I don't know if I've got the confidence in Florida State just yet to be able to take this one home. So I'm going to have them losing this one in a close one. But again, like you said, they could easily turn around and take it at home. I've got Clemson stealing it, though. So now Florida State will be 4-2 walking into another road showdown with the Duke Blue Devils. How do you feel about this one?
I think we win against the Blue Devils because they're got a new head coach. Riley Leonard's not there anymore. I don't think we see the same Duke that we saw last year because let's face it, that's not a normal Duke team that we saw last year. They were playing really good football, and they almost took us at Doak. So, but I got the Noles.
Yeah, I've got the Noles as well, man. I think this should be a simple one. Now, Duke could show up and possibly play some tough football. We know they've been trying to be slightly forming into something here lately, but I think after what I have is a loss for them coming out of the Clemson game, and even just as I say that again, it's hard to stick with that pick, but I'm going to stick to my guns for there, especially for the purposes of the show. So I'm going to have them fired up about this one. They will beat Duke. Going on the road against Miami, possibly the biggest question mark team thus far. What are your thoughts as Florida State takes on Miami? October 26th.
We got to play them at Hard Rock. The last time we went to Hard Rock, it was just a straight up ass whooping. But I don't think we see that this year. Mario Cristobal's got more of his players in there. And then you do have a Cam Ward at quarterback who delivered a really great performance last year at Washington State. So it could go either way there, but and that's a potential loss for me also. But I gotta go with my Noles here. I think we eke it out just like last year. I think it comes down to maybe a few plays and maybe we just get it done. So I'm gonna take my team on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take Florida State as well. Miami, damn sure could steal this one at home. And, as we predict the schedule and go through it, we don't know what Miami's going to be. Mario Cristobal has worked harder than anybody in the college football offseason. They scored the 4th best recruiting class, whether they're flipping transfers, whether they're just recruiting them, whether they're in the transfer portal snagging them. Mario Cristobal's done great. And he's going to have a guy like Cam Ward leading this team. It's the best roster he's ever had with Miami by far. And the stakes are high. But this is also a Miami team that has not won a natty since 2001 and has never won the ACC since joining the conference in 2004. So I'm going to have Florida State taking this one here. Now, if Cam Ward comes out to be a Heisman contender, which he damn sure could be with 4 or 5 weeks left in the season at this point, still got a lot to prove. But you can't turn away from the fact that he's got about 7,000 total passing yards in his career and flirting with 50 touchdowns in just a few years of college football. Playing
20 of them last season.
Exactly. And Cam Ward's a dual threat, man.
TD interception ratio, I think, is what
you can never balk at a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, whether you're in college or in the NFL. Give me Florida State to win this one, though. I'm feeling Mike Norvell and just his expertise later on in the season, because Miami's going to have some ebb and flow, no doubt. There could be a few weeks where they're hot, just like Colorado. We just saw Colorado be unranked. They come in and beat TCU and they get all the hype because TCU lost to Georgia in the runner-up of the Natty, of course. And then the wheels start to fall off. I can't say that it will be like that for Miami, but we've seen hype before with talent. And if you just don't have the chemistry or the coaching to hold it together, which unfortunately Mario hasn't shown in Miami yet, then more will be desired. Florida State's back home taking on UNC on November 2nd.
Take the Noles in this one too. I just don't think NC gets it done. No disrespect to Mac Brown, legendary head coach and a national championship winning head coach with Texas in 2005. Right. But I just don't think they get it done against us. They don't have Drake May. That's I don't know who their quarterback is this year. I haven't really done my research on that one yet. But you said they're playing us at home?
Yep, y'all are at home.
Yeah,
Connor Harrell is the quarterback now for the UNC Gophers. Or excuse me, the quarterback against the Gophers. Good Lord, not the UNC Gophers. The comment section is going to troll me. UNC Tar Heels. By the way, comment section kind of dry. Y'all get in the comments. I haven't seen any of y'all pop in yet. I see a few of y'all watching on YouTube and Facebook and a little bit on Twitch as well. You said you've got a win here, though, against UNC?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
could come to
as do
play,
I,
but
brother.
I think it's a dub, clear and cut.
Right. All right. Now they travel to Notre Dame, November 9th, 7:30, week 10 of the season. This could be a major,
Major game.
major game for top 12 playoff seeding implications, ACC title implications, because y'all have some competition this year. We know that. I still think Florida
For
State's a
sure.
team to beat, but we've got a lot to see as the season rolls out as well. This is a big game for Florida State, one of the biggest ones next to Clemson. I think the game with Boston College could be kind of big as well because it's a Boston College ACC, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Thought so. So
Yep.
that's going to be an ACC matchup there. We have Notre Dame here. How do you
They
feel
play an
about this one?
ACC
This is a
schedule
big
anyway.
time game. Within 5 weeks, you have Clemson, Miami, and Notre Dame. Y'all could easily win
Hard
all 3
3-week
of
stretch
those.
there.
It is. Well, it's a 5-week stretch. You'll
Or
have
5-week stretch.
Clemson,
Excuse me.
Duke, Miami, UNC, and Notre Dame.
Yeah, it's not the hardest, but it is rather difficult, especially when you tack on Clemson, Miami, and Notre Dame in there. We're traveling to South Bend, albeit South Bend isn't what they used to be, as far as like the atmosphere and the pageantry there that they once had. But there's fans still show up, and I think this is our second loss. I think we lose in Notre Dame. I
Yeah.
don't from based off of what I saw on the eye test against Georgia Tech, I just don't know if we're ready for them. I
Right.
don't know. So I'm
Right.
gonna have to take Notre Dame on this one, as bad as it hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. Another tough pick here for me. I'm going to take Florida State winning a very, very, very close game on the road, especially after they dropped the one at home to Clemson. Despite Notre Dame being higher than Clemson in the ratings, and I know I didn't include Clemson in our top 12 when we talked about guessing the playoff bracket.
Right.
From what Florida State shown up front and from what Clemson could possibly bring to the table, for some reason, I think they'll drop that one at home to Clemson, but they're going to be looking for some redemption here because, again, they're going
Oh,
to
it's
have
very
another tough
possible.
one with Miami. So they're going to be tested as they get to this point, and I think Florida State's going to pull it out. Riley Leonard could be at a special place right now in week 10. You know, he's a big body guy, 6'4", 215 pounds, dual threat guy. And
Yep.
we're going to talk about Notre Dame and Texas A&M here in just a little bit with our week 1 predictions, but I've got Florida State taking this one. Charleston State visiting you guys. I'm sure it's an easy dub. Do we even need to go over this one?
No.
All right.
No.
So we have a
Although
win there. Go
that
ahead.
North Alabama freaked us out in the first quarter last year where Jordan Travis hurt his leg, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, we came
Yeah.
back and we beat the snot out of them, but they ran up, I think, 1 or 2 touchdowns on us in the first quarter, and we like, hey, we got to get this ball rolling.
We're like,
And
whoa.
we ended up stopping them out like 48-14 or something like that. But still,
Right.
it's like, hey, we don't. It's like Saban at the end of the 58-7. You know what I'm saying? Nickel.
Even in the
Yeah,
fourth quarter with 7 seconds left, up by 51
exactly.
points, Nick
But
Saban allows no mental errors.
I wanted to piggyback off of something that you
Goated.
mentioned earlier about Riley Leonard real
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
Riley Leonard gave us hell last year at the Doak when he was with his Duke Blue Devils. So I think that's another it factor in the Notre Dame FSU game.
Sorry, I'm back. Pup wanted to go out. You still with me? Looks like you are.
Yeah.
Perfect,
But I think
perfect.
that's a deciding factor for me in the Notre Dame FSU game because he did play us so well last year and he knows what kind of what our defense is about and what they're going to do. And he can read a defense very well. I think that's another deciding factor in that victory for them.
So you do have a win. Well, excuse me, you were piggybacking off Notre Dame, but I'm totally with you there on all the points there. Florida State taking on Florida in the season finale, final week, November 30th of this year. Who you got?
Man, we got Graham Mertz coming back for
it.
Florida. Great quarterback. They took
Solid.
us. They took us close last year. Albeit we played them in the swamp. That's a very hard place to play, which we'll get to that here soon. It could be a potential loss, but I think the Noles can come out on top if we play our best
Mhm.
football.
Right.
And with
Right.
it being at the
Absolutely. I
Doak,
think
it's only going to help us.
right at the Doak, Week 12 stakes could be high depending on where Florida State has and where Florida State is
Yeah,
at this point.
where we're at. Yep.
Have they won against Clemson, Miami, and Notre Dame, or have they dropped two of the three? Have they won one of the three? We're not going to know until we get to this point. But I think with what Florida's expected to not be with literally the toughest schedule in college football, I'm going to take Florida State to win this one. So it sounds like both of us only have Florida State losing one more game. You say they're going to lose to Notre Dame. I say they're going to lose to Clemson. I think we're in unison on the record, correct? 11-1, or
Yep.
excuse me, 10-2.
10-2. Yep, I agree.
10-2. Absolutely. I would say the most important games that they're going to play is, of course, Clemson, Miami, Notre Dame, like we just mentioned. And then even against Boston College could be a sneaky one as well. But they do have that 3-game home stretch to open the season, which is really going to help them. So it sounds like we both easily have them making the playoffs. I would say so. I don't see how with a 10-2 record you don't make it in. I think we could even
I'd say
have
they're about the
one,
10
maybe
seed.
two, three. Right. One, maybe two, three lost teams making it in, but we're going to see plenty of one loss or two loss teams in here. Very possible that they're the 10 seed. If they do win the ACC, though, bro, they're going to jump into one of the top 4 spots, which let's not count them out, right? It is just week 0, but we had to address some of these things as we went on through it. Are you ready to
Yep.
predict week 1? Are you ready to look at
Yes,
our
sir.
3 biggest week
in.
1 predictions? But we're not going to get into UGA and Clemson because, again, quick reminder before we get into the week 1 predictions, the Double A will be live at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium this Saturday. Kickoff is going to be at 12. Probably going to start the show about 10:30 or so, but we'll have some advertisements and some pushing on the NFL with AJL channel. So let you guys know we're going to be live streaming probably on YouTube. Just a little 10, maybe 20-minute show of the pregame. So we're going to save our Georgia Clemson predictions. I'm absolutely stoked to be there, Alan. I know you can't wait to go, dude. It is going to be such an amazing time. Really fairly priced tickets as well. So shout out college football for allowing the opening banger of a top 15 matchup for the Dogs basically being at home to be very affordable, because I think we're going to be in front of a sold out crowd, man. And it's going to be fantastic. Again, before we jump in though, y'all please make sure to like and share the stream wherever you're watching. Subscribe on YouTube. Hit the bell so you never miss a post from us. Again, this is the Double A episode 2. It's going to be the sister podcast under the NFL with AJL. It's going to be that weekly college football content with Adam and Alan. It's going to be a great show for you guys, the fans, to be able to soak up. Again, the QR code is every bit of social media and podcast content at the NFL with AJL. If you can't find us, you're simply not looking hard enough. We're sponsored by Buy and Sell with AJL for all your worldwide professional real estate needs, whether you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate. Contact them at Buy and Sell with AJL on all social media platforms in order to get on their exclusive newsletter, monthly neighborhood reports to know about home values and everything in between, especially for buyers right now. And check out our collaboration with at PlayStation Online, the best gaming and worship collab really out there. Use code AJL at checkout, or hit me up on social media. You can even hit Alan up as well if you want to make a donation to this brand and really help us out with the show. The super chats, the super thanks, the super likes on YouTube are amazing, and it helps donate directly to the cause of putting out the best content possible for you guys. Let's go ahead and jump into the week 1 predictions, man. And we're going to start off with an insane offensive showdown. Number 23 USC, Miller Moss, Lincoln Riley, visiting number 13 LSU, Brian Kelly, the rookie quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier, and everything that they're expected to be with that LSU offense, man. The over-under is 63.5 to 64.5. And oddly, I wouldn't say oddly because this is going to be a banger, LSU is favored by 4.5 points. I think this could be the second best matchup of the weekend and could contest for the first best over UGA and Clemson. Just for my personal opinion, we get a great top 15 matchup with that one. Tell me what you're looking into with this one. We'll get into a little bit of a score prediction and just jab back and forth on this amazing game to look at week 1.
So, the one of the metrics I was looking at, they gave LSU about a 55% chance to win, and
That's fair.
USD 48, 49, some odd. And I got to go with LSU. That SEC defense. I gotta side with LSU on this one. Where are they
That's
playing
fair.
exactly? I can't remember.
They're playing in Las Vegas, bro.
Wow.
In the
Wow. So
desert, my
neutral
guy.
site.
Yeah. They know what they're doing with these neutral
Mm-hmm.
site games, man.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like it. It brings it, just bringing more awareness.
Yeah, so
Bringing more
no Death
awareness.
Valley, so no rowdiness,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're not playing in
Mm-hmm.
Pasadena, I think is where USC plays.
Yeah, it's
Um,
still gonna be louder than hell
so
though.
it's gonna be loud, and
Oh
both of
yeah.
them are gonna show up because
Mm-hmm.
it's only a few hours away from California, so
Right.
you're gonna have a lot of USC fans there. But I think it's gonna be a real big quarterback duel. You're gonna see Nussmeier and Miller Moss out there, slanging the rock, you
Oh yeah.
know, and I think it's gonna be pretty close as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a close game for sure. I mean, and the bettors are expecting points here, man. 63.5 points for the over under. As high as 64.5. Again, LSU favored by 4.5. Again, this is a big time offensive showdown between Lincoln Riley, Brian Kelly, who had the best offensive in college football last year at
Yep.
45.5 points per game with LSU, and Lincoln Riley, who literally makes any quarterback work in his offensive systems. I don't care where he's coaching or who is his quarterback. He is a offensive mastermind, a true offensive wizard. It is his
Yep.
vocation to run the highest powered offenses in the nation and get those guys recognized by college scouts. And I think he's done a great job in Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, now Caleb Williams as of late, and he
Yep.
gets to put his toolage in with Miller Moss. But let's not, we talk about the 45.5 points per game with LSU. Since Lincoln Riley has been with USC, they average 41.6 points per game. And Miller Moss, all we have is hype from him, right? All we have is the one game that we saw him in the Holiday Bowl, setting a Holiday Bowl record, 6 passing touchdowns. Literally every point that I almost said Oklahoma. Every point that USC scored came off the arm of Miller Moss. Over number 15 Louisville on December 27th when they were over number 15 Louisville when they faced them on December 27th. And now Miller Moss gets to show off that talent against Garrett Nussmeier, who does have Brian Kelly, who is an offensive guru as well. They do have a great, staff over there to really make that offense flow. So this is really a battle of rookie college quarterbacks if we're really looking at it. And both of these teams have very high expectations, man, stepping into this season. You've got some great questions. Can Miller Moss be great like the recent Lincoln Riley quarterbacks? Can he really
Right.
fill Caleb Williams' shoes? Does Garrett Nussmeier have the tangibles to mesh with Brian Kelly and handle Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors departing, albeit they do have some nice talent coming in from the transfer portal, from their recruiting class? LSU still got their number 13 ranking for a reason. And like you said, they're still that SEC team. They're still that high-powered offense. Did Brian Kelly find the defensive answer to the problems when he hired Missouri's defensive coordinator? Because we know
Right.
that LSU was awful last year. They gave up 417
Yeah.
yards per game and 28 points per game on defense. It was well outside of the top rankings of the country, and they were outside of the top 100 in defensive yards given up per game. So it's going to be an amazing game between two teams that just have so much to prove. You look at possibly wanting to, take USC to win this game, but they lost Brendan Rice. They lost Taj Washington. They lost Dorian
Right.
Singer. You look at the fact that, they do get UCLA transfer Kyle Ford. They get San Jose State transfer Charles Ross, along with guys like Zachariah Branch and the sophomore running back Quentin Joyner as well. The Trojans, much aligned, really defense can hold its own in a loaded Big Ten, and now it's going to be looking to do
Right.
the same. 6 top 25 ranked teams that they're going to play up against this year, and 4 of those are in the top 10 preseason rankings. Now, they do have a new defensive coordinator that just came into town. From UCLA. It's actually Alex Granchett. Of course, you see they're able to get a UCLA transfer, like I just mentioned, and Kyle Ford as well. But the defense has to be better for USC as well, bro. They've given up 34 points per game, which was 116th in the nation after allowing 433 yards per game. So USC has a lot to prove on the defensive side as well, just
Can
like
they
the
stop the
Tigers
run?
do. Yeah, can they stop the run? Absolutely. And you look at some of
Yeah.
the players that give me 1 second. Hold on.
No, you're good.
I'm not done yet. Is he okay right there? I hear him. Are you sure? Okay. Sorry, puppy's giving tough love. They've gotten into it too many times, so like I always got to spring into action if I ever hear it.
Absolutely.
As you can hear her in the background, but hell, what's it called?
Doggies do what they
Yeah,
do.
you look at it. Yeah, I know. LSU backing up the Brinks truck, to get Brian Kelly to come into campus. Again, fourth-year junior Garrett Nussmeier, who's going to be behind center as the quarterback. They got Kyron Lacey at receiver. They got Mason Taylor at tight end. So LSU, again, should have a pretty high-flying offense, and that's what everybody expects. When it comes down to picking a winner in this game, though, man, it's hard. Like even live on the show, I have it typed out here, but as I go to
Yeah.
make the pick, it's like, is it
Yeah,
really
you second guess yourself.
right? Because I mean, we're talking about an offensive showdown. We know
Yeah.
both of the defenses have a lot to improve on. I'm going to take USC, bro. I'm taking
All right.
USC
I like
with a
it.
little bit of an advantage with Lincoln Riley and Miller Moss. Probably a score of I'm going to say 38-35, and whoever holds the ball last in this game is going to win this game. So it could really go either way. You could
That
really
works.
say it's a pick 'em. LSU's favored by 4.5. Not at home. They're going to be in Vegas, but I got USC with the upset.
I had LSU 35-21.
LSU 35, USC 21.
Yep.
Only 21 points out of Lincoln
Yeah.
Riley's offense. You expecting that Mizzou DC to really make some
Uh-huh.
noise?
But yeah, because of the way he was able to lock down Georgia last year.
Yeah.
And Georgia's offense was OP. I mean,
Yeah.
they still are probably Saturday, but I think
Yes.
they hold them to 21 points, and I think the run game can be a big factor for the Tigers here as well, because we all know what the SEC is known for, that run game. And I
Mm-hmm.
think Brian
Yep.
Kelly started to figure that out a little bit, all them years up at Notre Dame. So
Yeah.
I think we see the Tigers come out on top on this one, but I won't be shocked if USC comes out and gives us a win. Uh, wouldn't shock me at all, because we know Lincoln Riley's a quarterback guru. So
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. It's going to be a fun one to watch. It's probably going to be my most anticipated game to watch,
for sure.
right behind us watching, Georgia and Clemson. All right, we have number 7 Notre Dame traveling to number 20 Texas A&M. This is going to be another fantastic game as well. The over/under could be a fantastic game. The over/under is 46.5, and Texas A&M is favored by 3 at home. Go figure, obviously. But what do you think about in Indiana? Good Lord, I'm reading my book over here. What do you think about Notre Dame visiting Texas A&M?
I know they're visiting Kyle Field, and they are playing at Kyle Field, right?
That's actually what I'm checking right now, because I say they're at home,
Right.
but they always have these crazy,
This is neutral site here,
I'm looking up right now because I want to be sure on that.
because that could be a factor.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. Keep going, and I'll give you the plug-in on that.
In any case, I think it's going to be a really good game. This Texas A&M, I feel like is going to struggle just a little bit, because they got a new head coach, albeit it's the guy from Duke, Riley Leonard's old head coach. So we'll see a little bit of parity there with
they're
Riley
playing at Kyle Field.
playing a different. Okay, Kyle Field. It could be a little testy there. It's loud,
Right.
And the Aggies show up,
Texas, Yeah, it's Texas A&M's house, bro.
But I still see the Irish coming out victorious on this one. And like I said, new head coach, new supporting cast. Still trying to pick up the pieces from when
talent.
Still trying to pick up the pieces from when Jimbo was there. Trying to reestablish Texas A&M's identity, figure out who the Aggies need to be, and but make no mistake, they are an SEC team. But I still have the Irish coming out on top on this one, and it's not going to be like an all-out, whooping, but it's going to be a fairly close one. I say 21-10 Notre Dame. But however, Texas A&M could surprise you with that run game, because they got Le'Veon Moss coming back. So and like I said, that dude ran for like 484 last year. And he had 96 carries, I think, something like that. And then you have Connor Weigman coming back at quarterback. He's 82 for 119 on the season, 979 passing yards. He's got a cannon on him. So we could see Texas A&M easily win, but I still got Notre Dame. I think they're a team to beat this year.
Yeah, they very well could be. And the 979 yards that Allen was just mentioning is actually what he did in just 4 games last year before he went down with a season-ending foot injury. This is another game
Hmm.
that's ridden with storylines as well, man. Again, over under of 46.5, and Texas A&M being favored by 3. I think it's just kind of comical. But again, some of the points that do pertain to this game, you can see why Vegas has their money literally on Texas A&M. We've talked about that plenty of times in the past, just in casual conversation, and of course, anyone that knows about the funding of the program that is Texas A&M. But when you look
Oh,
at Riley Leonard making his comeback, as his 2023 season was literally marred with an injury that happened against Notre Dame. So I think this is a big revenge game, bro. I think this is a really big revenge game for Riley Leonard. This guy has tons of potential as if he can sling it, and he uses his legs to make great plays as well. 3,400 total yards and 31 total touchdowns in 2022 with Duke before obviously 2023, really that injury just really took him under. Again, this guy's 6'4", 216 pounds, a really prime QB size. We talk about how you want size and strength and just big dudes, with DJU being above 250 pounds. If you've got that big stature as a quarterback, and especially if you can use it to your advantage in the pocket, it's always going to
only gonna
fare
help you.
well. Yeah, it's always going to fare well with your game. And when you look at the talent that it feels like Notre Dame has potentially lacked at the position for some time now, of course, remember back in 2012 of Everett Golson, we remember the Brandon Wimbishes and the Ian Books of the last few years and the Sam Hartmans, but really getting a guy that I feel like has proven it recently will be Riley Leonard going over to Notre Dame. And when you look at some of the new names that Notre Dame has as well, of course, Xavier Watts returns on defense. And then you also have the potential first-round pick in Benjamin Morrison, Howard Cross as well. On offense, they have one of the nation's top tight ends in Mitchell Evans. And they did make some strong upgrades in the receiving core. They got Chris Mitchell. They got Bo Collins. But a lot of it's going to come down to Riley Leonard because, again, we saw what he did well at Duke, but with 2023 really having craziness with the injury and the head coach and Marcus Freeman looking for higher hopes for a program like Notre Dame, who comes out of the
Absolutely.
gates ranked number 7, who some people had as a top 4 seed possibly in their preseasons, which I think is crazy, right?
Yeah.
Nonetheless, but when you look at the side of Texas A&M, they don't have the talent at the end of the day that Notre
Mm.
Dame does. And I think with Texas A&M, it's all potential as their quarterback literally played 4 solid games before having the season-ending foot injury. They have a new offensive coordinator and a new head coach, a projected to be good offensive line. That's what we always want to hear, right? In a game where the trenches really matter. Speaking of the offensive line, they had to replace their top returning rusher due to injury. All of that wrapped up in the wild Texas A&M environment with the 12-team playoff, and you're opening it up at home, and a returning from injury quarterback. And did I mention a new head coach and a new offensive coordinator? It just
Riley's old head
it's
coach.
right. And even more of a reason why it's a revenge game and
He's
why I have
coach.
the
Watch this.
dogs. Go ahead. Right. And why I have the dogs, as in the underdogs of Notre Dame, being able to win this one against Texas A&M. Because when you look at, Connor Weigman, you do have the Reuben Owens of the world, like I talked about. They're going to search for some production in Walker and Thomas at the wide receiver position. I would say really the only bright spot, and I got to give credit to the transfer from Purdue and Nick Scowerton, however you say his name. But
Hmm.
no doubt that the guy's a baller, right? They have some potential freshman All-American linebackers in York and safety and Bryce Anderson as well. But Texas A&M, they have a tough schedule, but they get them all at home. Notre Dame, Missouri, LSU, and Texas. So while it could be a gauntlet, they get all 4 of those at home, Allen, including the week
Oh
1
yeah.
opener. But I'm going to take Notre Dame to win this game. Notre Dame just feels like the team to win here. And in a way, it doesn't feel tough to pick. But I
Right.
also said the same about Florida State against Georgia Tech. And I'll eat crow every
Nobody
time
saw
I'm
that
wrong.
coming.
Y'all can get me in the comments, right? Y'all can get me in the comments all day. But this Notre Dame team at the end of the day hasn't played many snaps together as a unit. And
Nope.
Texas A&M as a whole has a lot going on. I'm going to take Notre Dame to win this one. I'm not going to make it an easy pick when I said it didn't feel tough to pick because there are some question marks, but it just does feel like Notre Dame's got what it takes to win. They're going to be on the road in Kyle Field, which will be tough. Give me a score of 24-21,
I
Notre
like it.
Dame to take this one home. And as we get into the final matchup of week 1 before we wrap the AA episode 2, we appreciate
Hey,
everybody sticking
comment.
with us. Y'all get in the comments. There we go. What's up, Andrew? And let us know what you think about the week 1 predictions that we've rolled out here for you. We talked some Florida State football earlier on in the show. Number 19, Miami, taking on unranked Florida. Florida's got the toughest schedule in college football. Miami only
They do.
favored by 3, according to
Hmm.
bettors. And the over-under is 54.5 points. What say you about this week 1 matchup, which it could be a blowout from either team, or it's going to be a close one. I really don't see anything in between because we haven't seen these guys match up in a while. And even with
Yep.
Miami with that number 19 next to their name, there's still a bit of a question mark. Graham Mertz
It's
with Florida
good.
is decent.
It's
But you
good for
take off.
football. It's good for football seeing Miami and UF matchup. All y'all know that's my rivals, but it's
Right.
good. We look better when they're good. Um, it just same with you as a Georgia fan. Florida and Tennessee, if they're great, makes y'all look even better. Same with Tech.
Yeah. There you go. Uh-huh.
Which the road to the Natty, that used to run through the state of Florida way back when. We know that.
Yeah.
But my thing is, this is Cam Ward's first game in not only the ACC but for Miami. He's got to
Mm-hmm.
play in some of the most hostile territory you can play. It doesn't matter how trash Florida is. Playing in the
Mm-hmm.
swamp is
Oh,
hard. It's
yeah. Lem Hill
loud.
Griffin is
You
no joke.
can't hear. And it's at noon. It's going to be hot. I don't, because Cam Ward's used to that Pacific Northwest, those Washington Huskies, the Oregon Ducks. He's
Mm-hmm.
not used to this
Uh-huh.
SEC defense, this SEC run game.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And Billy Napier's had a few years to get it right. And a lot of people say he's on the hot seat, which, this year, I don't think it's fair if you were to fire him if he struggled, because they do have the hardest schedule in all of football. It's not contested at all.
Mm-hmm.
I got the Gators here in a close one because it
You've got
is
the
at Ben Hill.
Gators.
I'm taking the Gators because look, man, me being a Knoll fan, and you being a Dog fan, you know how they get down over there.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
It
They'll shock the
yeah,
hell out of you.
I think it could be close. I don't think it's a blowout necessarily because Miami's got some returning vets, but they got a lot of transfers as well. They were heavily active in that portal like we were. So
Mm-hmm.
Billy's got something to prove. Hardest schedule. I think I got the Gators by 7 in this one.
Wow. By 7.
By 7. I think it's 21-14.
No more, no less.
No more. Well, it could go. It could always go up, but I think it's a very close game, is what I'm trying to convey.
Yeah. Yeah. Miami
Just
being favored
because
by
of how
3.
loud it is, and then you got Graham Mertz, who is a great quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll reserve the word great for a guy like Graham Mertz, but he could come out and play great. I will give you that. He definitely could come out and play great. Like we've talked about with Miami, man, and as I'll continue to say, hats off to Mario Cristobal and the Canes as they recruited, transferred, and flipped what felt like literally umpteen athletes to stack this roster. Arguably the most stacked roster in the ACC when you look on paper. When
Mm-hmm.
you look at what Mario Cristobal has done with Miami, like we said earlier in the show, it is the most stacked roster he's ever dealt with.
Absolutely.
And Cam Ward is going to have to come to play again, because when you look at a guy that's got 7,000 total yards in his college career between the
Mm-hmm.
couple of small colleges that he went to, and then you have, excuse me, and then you have him flirting with almost 50 touchdowns as well. He's a very high profile player who transferred to Miami ahead of the year. Joining him on offense, you got a running back in Damian Martinez from Oregon State, Sam Brown from Houston at wide receiver, Zach Carpenter from Indiana, who's a center. On defense, there's defensive linemen from Louisville, Michigan State, Marshall, Middle Tennessee State, NC State, Louisville, Arizona. Just a bunch of freaking commits and flips that they worked so hard with. And it feels like Miami's got a guy at quarterback because he's dual threat. And
Oh
this
yeah.
guy's he's a possible Heisman contender. I'll just go ahead and get out there and say it. And we'll have a Heisman list coming within the next couple of weeks. That'll really be a ton of fun to tackle. But Miami's going to look real interesting this year, man. And I think for them to take on Florida in week 1, I feel like some people are going
Bold
to overlook
statement.
this game. Yeah, it's going to be a statement game, no doubt, at the end of the day, because Miami, at the end of the day, they're competing for the ACC title and a playoff spot. And with the college football playoffs going on to 12 teams, Miami's hungry.
Yeah,
Miami's
we
super
can very
hungry,
well
and
see
they
them
just
roll up there.
watch. Right, and they just watch number 10 Florida State lose to Georgia Tech. It's one of the top contenders in the conference, already in a one-game hole. If Miami plays to their potential, it's not unreasonable to think that these guys could be in competition for an ACC title, for a playoff spot. I'm not going to go national championship, but we are talking college football here. We are talking that the transfer portal can make a lot of things happen. And here's the thing, right? Miami, while they could have success this year, it reminds me a lot of those NFL teams that just flip it in one year, like the Bengals did, and now they're always in the
Yep.
talks. And then, like the Texans just did with a rookie quarterback, rookie head coach, CJ Stroud doing what he did, winning the division 10 games, and they won a playoff game, but then they get smacked by the Ravens, and rightfully so. So it usually does take about 2 seasons, 3 seasons before you get that playoff win, playoff depth. Now you're in the Super Bowl. And Miami feels like one of those teams. Speaking of the Miami Hurricanes with college football, not the Miami Dolphins. Miami feels like one of those teams because they've done so much in the offseason and with the way that the transfer portal can work, and just again with Mario Cristobal doing the things that he did, it's absolutely remarkable because it's almost just like you can plug and play in this day of college football if you've got the relationships in place. And I think that's a big testament to what Mario Cristobal has done. As we know, life is about relationships, dude, but with the way
Hmm.
he's been able to pull this off, absolutely remarkable. You asked the question of can they win in close games though? Because that was the thing, not you specifically, but it's a question that some people had about Miami between last year coming into this
Right.
year, because they were 4-6 over the last 2 years under Mario Cristobal in games decided by one score or less. Of those 4 wins, 3 of them came in overtime, one of those being a
Hmm.
quadruple overtime to Virginia in 2022. So the Hurricanes definitely have to, get some very, very key wins. Again, the 4th overall recruiting class of the 12 signees, 14 signees. 14 of them were blue chip prospects, which means they were either a 4-star or a 5-star recruit. You got a defensive lineman in Justin Scott, who's a contender, safety in Zaquan Patterson, wide receiver in Joshua Trader, if I'm saying that correctly. You got the tight end in Lofton, the running back in Lyles. So a lot of these freshmen are going to be looking to get playing time because Mario Cristobal was probably handing out some promises. That
Hmm.
staff and that offensive coordinator, they were handing out some promises, which is okay. That's what you have to do. You have to
Oh yes.
sell in the transfer portal. That's why Miami was able to stack the number 4 recruiting class in the country. I'm going to take Miami to win this one. I know they're going to be on the road. It's going to be week 1 for them, but I feel like even if it's a Colorado type thing to where they just win their first few games and then skid on the back end, could be. Could they be like the Texans turning it around in 1 year? Could they be like some of these recent college football programs that have been able to turn it around in a season or two? Because it feels like Miami's got a lot of those characteristics really to be able to make it happen. Score prediction, again, we've got 54 and a half. I'm going to take Miami. I'll probably go 28-14, 28-17 on the road with a win over Florida. So we got into some great week 1 predictions for episode 2 of the Double A. We talked about Florida State's playoff outlook after the Georgia Tech loss and if they should potentially be panicking. USC at LSU, Notre Dame at Texas A&M, and again, Miami at Florida that we just finished off with. Again, guys, we are going to be at the AFLAC kickoff in Atlanta on Saturday for Georgia and Clemson to open up week 1 at noon. We're going to have a pregame show for you guys. Going to be tailgating in the parking lot. Going to be bringing you that show at about 10:30 or so. It'll be Alan and I, maybe 10 to 20 minutes, breaking down some of the games, some of the great matchups, a lot of like we what did today, a lot of what we did today and the likes of it. We're going to be on set at the stadium live. It's going to be a great environment, and we can't wait to experience it with you guys. Before we get out of here, as always, y'all please make sure to like and share that stream wherever you're watching. Subscribe on YouTube. Hit us with a super chat, a super thanks, a super like to support directly to the show. Share the stream wherever you're watching. The QR code will give you every bit of social media and podcast content at the NFL with AJL. This has been the Double A episode 2. We will be back, maybe looking to do some instant reactions after week 1 as we get through it. I'm going to let you guys get out of here. Alan, anything for the crew before we get out of here and get ready for a crazy actual week 1 that we're going to have our eyes on?
Man, I'm just hoping that week 1's as good as it's hyped up to be. That's all I hope,
Yeah.
because we got some banger matchups, and I think they could. I think all 3 of them can go either way.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get into it, man. As we always say, we love y'all, we need y'all, and we will see y'all in the next episode of the Double A. And as